Hi Deborah and everybody, Mopsy here, and Deborah is wanting to embroider onto a pillowcase. She has a purchased design and she wants to add some text to it using either the lettering or hyperfont. So here we go, we're starting with a new hoop and I'm going to my design browser to pull in the purchased font. In this case I have file here from Embroidery Library, but it can be any design that you have. And the first thing I'm going to do is do a file save design as, and I'm going to name it, in this case Cardinal, and I'm going to save it as an FHE, a Futura Home Embroidery file, and say OK to that. The reason I have done that is so I don't accidentally overwrite my expensive purchased designs. This way it's leaving that well alone. So here we go. I don't know how to describe this. I'm envisaging this to be the end of the pillowcase, and so the pillowcase would be about here somewhere. And personally I like to embroider along the edge of a pillowcase. I don't like to put any embroidery where the head maybe if it's used for sleeping. So I need to play around a little bit with this design. The first thing I want to do is make this bird a little bit smaller, and I need to rotate it. So I'm coming up here to my design, change size, and at the moment it's on 3.8 inches on the X. I'm just going to change that to 3 inches, and because my X and Y, or my length and my width, are padlocked together, as I alter one it automatically adjusts the other proportionally. So that's the size, and the next thing I want to do is rotate it, and here's where you do that. I want a quarter turn, which is 90 degrees, and I want it to turn to the left. I've got the stitch processor activated, so I'm going to say OK, and there it's done exactly what I asked. It's rotated it a quarter of a turn and made it a little bit smaller. Now I'm going to drag an imaginary box over it, and I'm going to move it down near the bottom of my hoop somewhere. So there we have it. I'm going to click off the design, and so that's more or less my start point on this. Now I'm coming up to, I'll do the built-in lettering first. So I'm going to click my T, and I'm going to type in, I don't know what name, so I'm just going to do the word Cardinal. And the last time I used it, I used a block of this height, of this spacing, and that's what's held into the memory. So the first thing I need to do is select a font from my built-in list. I've probably got a few more fonts than most people, or a lot of you, because I also have the Singer CD of favourite fonts and frames, and that's given me a few extra. So don't worry if you don't have all these built-in fonts. So I'm going to select Kids. I'm going to make the height 1 inch. I'm going to increase the spacing to 8, and that's good. I want to change the color, only just to show you that you can, and because I've changed the orientation of the bird, I now need to rotate the text as well. So here we have rotation. I'm also going to change that 90 degrees and say OK. And then I can position it where I want to on here and say stitch it. And there we have it on the screen. I'm going to come up and turn my T off, click it again to come out of the editing screen, and I'm going to zoom in just to see what that is going to look like. And let's go back to the 50%, so I've got the whole hoop in. I know that Deborah is fairly new to this, and so there's also the question of density and things like that you need to look into. So I'm going to click on any letter, it doesn't matter which one, and I'm coming up here to my outline edit button, and I'm going to click the letter A here, which will take me back into the editing screen of the text that I'm playing with. And I have made other videos on that, so I'm not going to go into it in detail here, but suffice it to say, you can come back in and re-edit as many times as you want. So why did I come back into this screen to edit? I know. I'm coming into design and embroidery settings. I'm going to click my little arrow up here next to the X to lock this box open and move it out of the way. And I was talking about density, and that again, what I last did is held into the memory. So the last design I made, I had a density of 3 with a fill and an edge walk underlay, short stitches. But that may not be appropriate for embroidering onto a pillowcase or a towel or whatever article you're wanting. So I'm going to come up here to my manual, where it says manual settings, click the down arrow and go into my preset fabrics, which will open a box on the screen. I might as well leave it here. And this box has a list of different fabric types, and you'll find in here there is actually one called pillowcase or sheet, and it's saying that that will be a light woven fabric to use a light tearaway and a sharp needle. And as I click OK to this, I want you to watch these settings here and how they change, because Singer will automatically decide what is the best density, etc., for this particular fabric. So I'm going to click OK, and you can see what's happened here. It's taken the density from 3 up to 4.5, so the density is a bit looser. It's taken off the underlays, it's added some stretch and some short stitches. So I'm going to apply that, I'm going to stitch it, I'm going to come out of the outline editing, and I'm going to close this box, and let's have a look to see what that's done. You can see that's opened up the design a little bit. Let me view realistic view. So it's still the satin that we want, but for something like linen, which is a weave, the more holes you're putting into it, it's pushing the existing weave apart, and that starts to wrinkle your fabric a little bit more if you're not careful. So that's why it's loosened up this design. So go back again to here. So there we have the one of the fonts using the text option or the lettering option. I'm going to click on the word cardinal, I'm going to delete that, and this time I'm going to go into my hyperfont, the TTF. So it's opened the hyperfont wizard. I'm going to click next and type in cardinal, and then I go to select the fonts from the list. Now please remember that these are typing fonts, and these are what you would use to type a letter in Word or in your email where you can change fonts. Let me move this down here. Not all of these fonts on your computer will lend themselves to being embroidered, so you just need to go down and find a font that you like that matches the person that the design is for and what you're embroidering onto. So I don't want to waste too much time here. Let's just find font. There we go. I'm going to go for that font, regular, and I'm going to say OK to that. Next, I want it in this case to be a column stitch. It could be filled, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say finish, and there it's put the text on the screen. And again, I have these same editing options that I had when I was under the text button, and as you can see, that actual button is highlighted now, although I didn't ask it. That's the editing part of it. So I've changed the height to 1, the spacing to 8, although I could go larger than that. I say watch my other videos if you need to know more. I need to come here to rotate this 90 degrees. Okay, it's stayed on the blue, but I'm going to pick a different color. I'm going to come to a green and say OK and stitch it. So there we have it on the screen. I can highlight it and move it wherever I want it to be. and click off. So I would need to again do the same thing as I did with the text to check the density, come to my outline edit, click the A to get the lettering back, come into my embroidery settings, and either manually make choices, take these off, add the stretch, and maybe make that 4, or I could do what I did before and go to my presets, and either way apply that and stitch it, turn this box off, and again position it where I want it to be. And another thing that you can do, Deborah, because I know that you're fairly new to this, if I pick up the bird and right mouse click and click copy, click off the bird, right mouse click and click paste, there I've created a duplicate of the cardinal bird. I'm going to right mouse click again and this time go into flip and flip vertically, and that's given me a mirror image of the cardinal, and then I can come up here, move it, drag it out of the way and click. So there I have a mirror image of the bird. Obviously I need to play around with it and line it up. You can turn your grid on for that. I'm going to pick up my text and just move that to sort of balance it around a little bit. But say for the most part you're good to go there. Don't forget to save it. Again, save your design. You've already renamed it, so you can just click on save on your menu, or click the icon here in the toolbar. But you're ready to go. So you know where to find me in the Auto Punch group or the Singer Futura group. Send me a PM or come and ask me a question, and I'll talk to you guys later. I hope that helps, Deborah. Bye.